Just before starting, let me mark you guys present. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, so I have deployed this Metasploitable machine in my network, and I have switched on my attacker machine as well. That is going to be my Kali Linux. Okay, so let me quickly open my terminal over here. Okay, let me create a directory here named as Metasploitable, although this was not required, but still. Okay, uh, let me increase the font size a little. I hope everyone can see my screen clearly. The text is clear. Hmm? Or do I need to increase the font size?
No, sir, it's okay.
It's okay. Great. So we'll start with the host discovery process. Okay. Get my IP address. Do a nmap ping sweep. Got the target IP address over here. Run a nmap scan against it. Hyphen SCV hyphen capital O. And yeah, this would suffice. Let's run. Okay, let's do sudo bang bang. Okay, so the scan results are here with me. And while going through the scan results, here I can see port number 139 is having Samba SMBD 3.x 4.x daemon. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for exploits specific to this version. Okay, Samba 3.x 4.x. Okay, okay, I'm receiving some messages in the chat. Starting ka. Okay, how did I started? I started with IP space A. You can do anything, whatever suits you. IF config, IP ADDR, IPA. The motive was to find my IP address and subnet. So here I have my IP address and subnet. Here is it. Here it is. Okay. And then what I did a ping sweep here. This is your host discovery method. Okay. I used ping sweep for it. So I tried to ping all the 255 IP addresses in this range. 192.168.75.02255. And here I am presented with this IP address, which is the target IP address. Okay. Then I did a port scan, very basic port scan against it. So here it is. Once I am done with that, I did an extensive scan over it, running some default scripts and version detection and OS detection scan. And here you can see the output is with me. Okay. This is the process that I have followed so far. Okay, so from here, I saw the SMB version, Samba version. Okay, I went to Google, search for it, Samba 3.x, 4.x. Okay, and I found this first link that is of Rapid 7. Okay, there's a first link out here that is Rapid 7. So let me just open this one. So as I can see that it's a Rapid 7 link, so it is going to be my Metasploit exploitation. Okay, exploitation through Metasploit. Because I hope you guys know that Rapid 7 is the parent company for Metasploit framework. Okay. So we are going to exploit this machine using Metasploit only, and you will see how easy it is. So here it says Samba username, map, script, command execution. There is some kind of vulnerability here. And what it says is some command execution vulnerability somewhere here in some username map script. And if I just scroll down, here you can see that the usage is also provided to me. Okay. For this usage, what I'm going to do, let me open a new tab here. Hmm. Okay, so let's start my Metasploit framework. Let's start with starting the Metasploit database. So this is an optional step, but this is a recommended step. Okay, you can start Metasploit framework without starting the database support as well. MSF console -q. Let's wait for my Metasploit framework to open. Here it is. And the exploit which was provided to me by the Rapid7 was use, I believe it was Samba. What was it? Let me just confirm. It was use exploit multi Samba user map script. Use exploit multi Samba user map script. This was the exploit. I just loaded this exploit. It was that easy. Okay. Let me just type show options. Type show options, and here I'm provided with certain options. So here, whatever the fields are required are marked as yes in the required column. I need to provide those details here. Set rhost. Rhost is your remote host. The victim IP address. Set rhost, and it is going to be my, I believe it was 140 or 145. What was it? 141. Okay, 141. So the target has been set. I can change the payload here as well, but I do not need to. That is not required right now. The exploit has been configured. You can confirm it by typing show options or options again. Okay. You can see the value has been fixed for my target. Now what I need to do is simply need to type run. When I type run, you can see here it says command shell session 1 opened. Okay. So a connection has been made. A socket is open on my machine, a socket is open on target machine. Okay. And we have successfully connected. Let's see if I have a shell or not. I cannot see anything here, but let me just try to type anything. PWD gives me the output. UMI gives me the output. ifconfig gives me the output. So here you can see that I have successfully gained access. Okay, I have successfully exploited the target machine, and it was so easy. I've gained root privileges here. I'm inside the target machine. Okay. So that was your you can say Metasploit framework, how you can use that. Okay. And how you can use a specific exploit. And let's say if you want to search for specific exploit in Metasploit framework itself. Let me just close this session. Control C. Abort session. Yes. Back. Clear. What I can do is I can do search here as well. Search Samba 3.x 4.x. I can search it this way as well. Okay. Searching for some exploits. If you want to filter it further, you can use question mark to open a help menu here, and you can see I can just type search SEAR search -h. I can specifically look for type. If I'm looking for an exploit, I can use type exploit. I can use platform as Linux or not Linux. Okay, something like that. That's how I can further refine my search. So that was your Metasploit table. Now, if you guys want to explore further, like for in case of Metasploit framework, what you guys can do is you can go to try hack me, and there's a room, dedicated room for Metasploit framework. Okay, where is it? Nope, nope. Guides. Why is it not opening? Yeah, here it is. It's a free room. You guys can try. Okay. It is going to take you guys step by step, asking you questions, giving you guys hint what to do next, what not to do. Okay. What is this hyphen H flag, hyphen Q flag? What is this all about? Okay. This is something that you can look into. Now, if you want to look into Samba exploits, there are two very major vulnerabilities out there. One is major and very famous as well. Okay. One is your Eternal Blue, and another one is your Net API. Okay. Eternal Blue is your MS. Yeah. Any doubt? Someone was saying something. So MS17010 and MS08067. You guys can, if you want to try your hands-on exploitation with them, what you can do is you can look into Hack the Box, Lame. Lame is one machine, and Blue is one machine. Okay, there are two machines. You can give it a try there. Lame is for no, not Lame. It is Legacy, I believe. Yeah, it's Legacy, not the Lame one. Legacy is going to be vulnerable to Net API. Okay. If I'm going to go inside here, you can directly search for search MS08067. This is your Net API exploit. You just need to load this one. Use 0. The exploit has been loaded. Just type options here. Set the R host here and click on run. It is going to give you a root shell back. That's one thing. Similarly, you can try doing MS17010 as well. You'll get a bunch of exploits here. Some of them are scanners to check if the target machine is vulnerable to Eternal Blue or not. And the other exploits are specific to machines. Like for Windows 8, we have got different. Okay, for Linux, we have got something else, so on and so forth. Okay, let me just send you this thing in the chat as well. Legacy for Net API. Blue is for Eternal Blue. Okay, or you can try Eternal Blue at Try Hack Me as well. There is going to be a machine named Blue. Here, yeah, here it is. This is vulnerable to MS17010. You can give it a try. Okay. How many of you guys are aware of this platform, Try Hack Me? Hmm? Okay, I can see hands up in the this participant section. Great. Do you guys practice on this as well? Hmm? It's a good platform for beginners. Okay, as it is going to take you step by step, and if you are stuck somewhere, it is going to give you sufficient hints as well. Okay, unlike Hack the Box. Okay. So let's proceed further then.
Sir, can we know what's the configuration of your system?
My system.
Yes, sir, because you're running more virtual machines.
Yeah. So I am having a Xeon processor. Okay, and it is having, I believe, 12 cores. Okay, so I believe that is sufficient for handling multiple VMs and multitasking stuff. And talking about RAM, I believe, I'm not sure, it is 32 GB or 64 GB RAM. Okay, so I have a GPU as well that I do not care about. Let me just look into it. Let me just see. Uh, so these are my specifications here. You can see 3.5 gigahertz Xeon processor, 12 logical processors, and there must be RAM here as well. Yeah, 32 GB RAM, and GPU would not be here. I believe GPU is not going to be here.
Sir, if we are having 16 GB of RAM, so how many VMs can we have?
So see, everything is not dependent upon the RAM as well. Okay, you need to have sufficient cores to handle multiple VMs, because when you are going to run multiple VMs parallelly, a single core or dual core processor would not be able to handle them.
I'm having quad-core processor right now
Quad
in my
core. Does it support multi?
laptop. Yes, sir, it support it's a high-speed threading to that.
So there will be 8 threads, right? Eight
Yes,
logical
sir.
processors there.
Yes, sir.
Is it i5?
Yes, sir. High i5 uh, 8th generation H processor.
Right. So that would be sufficient. Okay. 16 GB RAM, i5, 4 cores, 8 logical processors. That is sufficient. You can easily run 3 VMs there.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Parallelly at a time.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So before that, let me just tell you a little bit about IDOR. Okay. What is IDOR? That is the last thing that I'm going to talk about web application. Okay. So IDOR basically stands for Insecure Direct Object Reference. That's one thing. Now, what is Insecure Direct Object Reference? Can anyone explain it to me? What is IDOR? Insecure Direct Object Reference.
So maybe if I change some IDs in the URL or something like that, if we direct to a place where we are not supposed to, this might be an IDOR.
Okay, right. Anyone else would like to try?
Let's say
Hmm? So this is a very good video explaining the IDOR. Small 8 minutes video. Hmm? You guys can look into it. Pawn function. So let's say we have got oops, it's playing. Let's go back. Yeah. This is a sample URL over here. Some question mark user ID is equals to 12. Okay. This is some get parameter here. So the parameter can be get, it can be post. just to simplify, just to convey the concept in a simple manner, we take the examples for get parameter. Okay, whatever is being discussed in with respect to get parameters, everything can be applied with the post parameters as well. Okay, and I hope by this time get and post parameter difference would be clear to you. So if let's say I am provided with this user ID, for example, user ID 12, that's my user ID. Okay, and that's my profile dashboard. Let's say my profile dashboard, basically when I'm saying dashboard, it's like my profile control panel or my settings panel, you can say. I am having the whole rights to change how my account functions here. What if I change this value, this parameter, and I am able to switch into someone else's account? And when I say that I am able to switch into someone else's account, what I am saying is not simply jump to their profiles. I'm trying to jump into their dashboards. I'm trying to jump into more privileged pages. Okay. So if I need to differentiate here, it's like if I take an example of Instagram. Okay. In case of Instagram, you guys would have observed the URL. It's like instagram.com/ your username. Right. That's how your profile looks like. Right. Observed it or not? Never observed it. Nobody uses Instagram. Hmm?
It shows the profile name where
Right.
in the URL.
Yeah. So if I am going to type somebody else's username there, it is going to go take me to that another person's profile, right? If I just change that username, let's just take the example, huh? Instagram.com. So any username you have? I have my. Do you have yours? Any username? Just give me one username, for example. Yes, it's like GitHub as well. Any example? No example. Give me one username, guys. So it's like S underscore hash underscore what? Okay. Switched into this profile. Okay, great. So basically you can see that there's some value which I'm changing in the URL and I'm able to switch from profile to profile. That's one thing. Okay. I'm changing this value and I'm able to switch into profiles. Okay. I can say this is IDOR, but this is not IDOR. Why this is not IDOR? Because I'm not into the dashboard of this profile. I'm not able to control this profile. Okay. If I'm able to change this thing, change something in the URL, may it be get method or may something in the request, may it be post method. If I'm able to change something and I'm able to switch into the, let's say, the settings, profile settings, the dashboard of this profile, that is going to be considered as IDOR or something sensitive is being revealed. So if I need to go there, generally what happens, there is going to be some kind of an authentication procedure that you need to undergo, right? If I need to go to this profiles dashboard, there is going to be an authentication procedure, which is going to be like login, username and password, right? If I need to edit this one, some username and password. Okay. So IDOR is basically when I'm able to bypass that authentication mechanism by simply changing the that value in the URL on the post method. That is insecure direct object reference. I'm trying to refer to another object in an insecure manner. Okay. Otherwise, what should happen if I'm trying to access it? There should be an authentication page which should be provided to me before I'm able to hop into someone else's account. Okay. So I have a box here. You can try this one in Bbox as well. Okay. While trying into Bbox, you need to create another account. Let me just open Bbox as well here. I have this machine from Valen Hub. It is known as me and my girlfriend -1. Okay. So this machine is also vulnerable to IDOR vulnerability. Okay, the credentials are revealed through IDOR only. So I can show you a demo of IDOR here as well in the VBox as well. Okay. B bug. Okay. Logged in. Let me just reset everything. And yes, I'm sure. Go back. Log out. Okay. New user. I need to sign up here. Okay. And let's say this is my username. This is my password. Retype password. Some email. Some secret. You can say secret can be like some secret question that is going to be used for recovering your credentials, maybe anything that is secret, which is not supposed to be visible to other people. So let me just use some username like root. Email is going to be root@root.com, and the password is, let's say, tour, TOR, and the secret is this must not be visible to others, something like that. Okay, let's click on create. A user has successfully been created. Okay, let's go to login. Let's log in with B bug. Okay, don't save. Okay, let's select some IDOR vulnerability here. Mm, where is it? Yeah, here it is. Insecure door change secret. Let's click on hack. Okay, change your secret. So currently I'm logged in with this user bug. B is the user. Okay, so this was my secret for another user, that is root. Okay, new secret. Let's say anything. Just change it. The secret has been changed. Okay, so there's no request. I cannot see anything happening here, right? There's no parameter here. So that simply tells me that there is going to be something which I need to change into the post parameters. Okay, so let's fire up my burp here. Proxy intercept is on. Great. Let me just type something like this here. Click on change. It is being intercepted by me here. Okay. Okay. Secret is this. Login is B. Action is equals to change. Let me try to change this username here as root. Okay. Forward. And the secret has been changed. The request was successful. Okay. Great. And where was I able to see the secret? It was, I don't remember. So actually the secret has been changed. Okay. What I did here was this task was something which is which is going to be this action is going to be considered as a privileged action. Okay. I'm not allowed to change secrets of other people like this. Okay. So IDOR can be anywhere. It can be like anything. It's like if I give you an example for profile hopping from dashboard to dashboard, that's also an example. If I'm able to change some settings directly of other people, which are some privileged settings, that is also going to be considered as IDOR. Okay. So I do not remember from where I would be able to check out my secret. Bugs, reset, credits, create user. Maybe I was. I've changed the secret, right? Let me just turn it off. SQL injection. Get search. Click on hack. Search for movie. Select. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Okay. What was it? It was, I believe, username and secret. Secret. It was login, I believe, from users. Yeah, here it is. So here you can see that this is the secret. This is my current secret. Okay. And this was not the one which I actually created, right? This was something which was changed by the another user, B user. Okay. This user was able to change this the secret of this user, root user, with this thing. This was a privilege action, but that privilege, that authentication mechanism was bypassed. Okay. Right. So actually, this is not how you are going to look into what is the use the secret. There's some other procedure here that I'm not able to recall. So I just did a SQL injection to dump the database out and to see what is the username and what is the secret of this user. Okay, that's what I did here, and I have already covered these steps at some other different website. Okay, you can repeat those same steps here as well. Okay, I hope this thing is clear. Hmm? Need to look into another demo. Shut it down. So we have not exactly looked into this specific example. Okay, what we have looked into was a post parameter. And understanding post parameter, looking into post parameter is a bit tricky than as compared to get parameter. Okay, so maybe some of you are not able to follow along. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you an example for get parameter as well. Okay, let me just show you. Although whatever I have done so far and whatever I have not done so far have been mentioned in the PDF, the B-box PDF that I shared with you yesterday. Okay. Okay. Yes. Start pub, close proxies to intercept. Great. Nmap ping sweep to get the target IP address. And now in my target, I have this another machine that I have switched on. Okay. And previously, Mr. Robot was, I don't know. Let me just do nmap scan. One 42, 143. This is your Mr. Robot machine. This is your me and my girlfriend machine. Just copy this one. Go to your browser. Let's go to my incognito tab. Who are you, hacker? Here, this site can only be accessed locally, right? So let me just send this thing to the burp. It's here. Okay, here I am. So let's click on login. Welcome back. So here I have logged in as a normal user here, okay? And to be very precise, we do have an ID parameter here, and the value is also 12, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to play with this parameter, okay? And I'll try to see if I'm able to hop into other people's profile, okay? So let's check. Whatever I have done so far, that has no relevance with the IDOR, okay? That has no relevance with the IDOR. So that's why I have not explained it to you. So let's just try to change this value as 1. Press enter and let's forward this request. This is not IDOR that I'm doing here. Welcome back. Let's go to dashboard. I'm already in dashboard. Let's go to profile. Yeah, I am here in the profile. Now let's try to change the so in my profile I'm currently logged in as the user ID as 12 and logged in as user RKS user. So in my profile I am provided with my name, my username and my password. Okay, let's try to change this thing. Let's try to change it to 5. Press enter and forward the request, and here you can see that I have jumped into somebody else's profile. Can you see? This was not my profile, someone else's profile. And I can see this as well. If you want to see the start password, a lot of you guys would be aware of this trick. Just delete this thing, that's one option, or just type text here and it is going to show you the password. Oh, not the name. This is the field. Just type text here. So I can even see the password here. So it is just a representation of more privileged page. Okay. It is a privileged page which will only be accessed via some authentication mechanism. But by changing the object value in the URL, I'm able to hop into other people's account. Okay. I hope by this example, everything would be clear, by this and by the previous example. Yeah, guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If still something is not clear, okay, then I would suggest you guys to look into it, read about it a little. Okay. Let's just to clear screen. Just go. I have shared this link. Just go through it. User ID is equals to 20. Get other user details. Okay. The same thing is being explained here as well. Maybe the way this person has explained, that is more beneficial to you. So you guys can check this out. Okay. Well, that's one. If you want to look into it in more detail, what was it? $100 bounty for none of them is good enough. Let's just finding IDORs. Insider PhD. Yeah, this is the one. Okay. Another very good video you can look into. Okay. I've shared the link in the chat as well, so you guys can go through this one. So, okay. Okay, so let's get back to basics. Okay, we have got IDOR as well, finally. So let's look into Mr. Robot now. So this is my Mr. Robot. That is 142. Okay. I've done a normal Nmap scan against it. Now let's open my browser. Why I'm opening my browser? Because I can see port number 80 and 443 are open. That's the only ports which are open here. So let's open my browser. So now you guys are able to understand the relevance of the Instagram profile that I showed you. That what I was trying to convey here. Like if I was able to change the username there and I was able to hop into the control panel, the settings panel of that profile, that would have been considered as IDOR. This thing is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here, when I try to open this IP address in my browser, okay, so I have a question in the chat and it is like, sir, Mr. Robot ka IP kaise pata chala? By host discovery mechanism, okay. Let me just do a clear screen here, huh? clear. IP space A, nmap space hyphen sn, followed by your IP address along with your subnet CID notation. Enter. And here I can see 135 is my IP address, 142 is the another IP address. That is going to be my target IP address here. Okay. Dot
सर अगर
182.
ARP चलाएंगे तभी तो मिल जाएगा ना सारा कुछ.
क्या क्या चीज?
ARP/A लगाएंगे तो फिर तभी भी IP मिल जाएगा ना.
बिल्कुल मिल जाएगा. ARP space hyphen A, sudo bang bang. ARP space hyphen A gives you the entries from ARP table. That is basically used for giving you the entries from ARP table. Okay. So if you want to get the IP address through ARP only, you can do net discover as well. Okay, because net discover gives you behind the scene. Net discover does is what net discover does is ARP scan. Okay, and there's a dedicated tool as well known as ARP scan. That is also possible. Let me just see if ARP scan is installed here or not. Maybe it is. Yeah, it is not installed. It used to be there in our default install, I believe, till 2019 3, 2019.3. It used to be there. Well, anyways, let's not care about it. Just to net discover hyphen I can give an interface here. Etho, that's one way. I can do hyphen R followed by target IP address range. That's another way. I can do host discovery this way as well. It's going to take some time. Scan finished. Very unreliable, huh? It's finished, but not showing me any IP output. So let's do one thing. Let me just type hyphen I etho. Let's see. See, if anytime you want to see what are the underlying mechanism, how a tool is working behind the scene, you can always fire up your Wireshark, fire up your tool, start sniffing, and you can see what is happening behind the scene, what kind of packets are being generated by this tool. Okay. So here I am provided with this IP address 142. Okay. I can see here. Still running. It is not going to find anything because there is no IP address other than them. Okay. Okay. So that was your host discovery method. That's how I was able to find out my target IP address. Okay. Now, yeah, getting back to my very basic enumeration, I found port 80 and 443 were open. So I have accessed the website through port 80. Let me try to access it through port HTTPS colon / and it was 142. Click on advance, accept risk and continue. I just wanted to see if same website is being hosted or maybe if there is any dissimilarity between them or not. Okay. I'm not typing anything, it is happening by itself. If you guys want to follow along, you can download this machine from Valorant Hub, or you guys can log into your TryHackMe account, set up your VPN, and there's a machine named Mr. Robot 2 there, which is having intermediate difficulty. This is that machine. This is not your Mr. Robot 1. Okay. So I'm receiving some question in the chat. Sir, I'm not able to find the IP address of Mr. Robot after the host discovery. Okay, great. Site can't be reached. Why the site is not being reached? Because you are not going to have the same IP address here. Okay. What are you using? You are using VMware or VirtualBox? First of all, are you using VMware or VirtualBox? VMware. In VMware, you need to first of all look into the network adapter settings. Okay, both of your machines needs to be into the NAT settings. Both of them can be in bridge as well, but whatever network adapter you are going to choose the same adapter for all of them, so that everything is in your single network. Okay, so did you check that the network adapter is same for all of them? Yes. So what you can do is, maybe there is an issue that Mr. Robot is not picking up the IP address. Okay, just to verify that issue, what you can do is, you can try to log in here. The login credentials are going to be robot is the username, and A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z. This is going to be the password. Try logging in here and do an IF config here. Huh? Do IF config here and see if an IP address is being assigned to your machine or not. Or maybe there is some issue with the VM itself. When you imported this VM, it must have asked you like I moved it or I copied it. Hmm? Well, anyways, you just look into these steps what I have mentioned you so far and let me know if you are able to find the IP address or not. Okay. Let's get back here and here I am. So generally Mr. Robot is going to work perfectly fine with your virtual boxes. Okay. And whatever machines you are going to download from Valen Hub, 90% of those machines are going to work with the virtual box. So I would suggest you guys to go for virtual box, because in VMware you need to configure them in a specific manner. Okay. Okay. Well, getting back here, tried enumerating it. Okay. Let's run a extensive nmap scan against it. Target IP address, that is 142 SCV hyphen capital O. That's one thing that I want to run. Another thing that I want to run is cd dot dot. I'm having this directory known as Mr. Robot. I already have stuff lying around here. Let's create another directory here. mkdir Mr. Robot. cd Mr. Robot. It's clean here. Let's try to run a GoBuster. That is basically your directory brute forcing tool, which I am using. Okay, you can use Dove as well. That is absolutely fine. I'm using GoBuster. GoBuster hyphen dir hyphen u http colon / target IP address here, that is 142, and hyphen w for word list. User share word list dub common.txt. That is going to suffice. Yeah, let's run it. So, okay, I have received something in the chat and it is like there is no inet address after doing ifconfig. Yes, right. So that's why you are not able to find the IP address of Mr. Robot, because no IP address is being assigned to this machine. Okay. And what you can try doing is you can just try to reboot it. Okay. Because we cannot control the network adapter settings of this machine here. Just try to reboot it once again, or you can try to change the network adapter to bridge, see if it works. Okay. Log in again, reboot it with bridge settings, see if we are getting an IP address. Another way that I'm going to suggest you is try to connect to another network. Okay, currently I'm connected to a Wi-Fi. Okay, if you are facing such kind of an issue, you can try to connect, you can just try to see if you are able to get an IP address with your mobile hotspot. Just switch on your hotspot, connect your hotspot here, and put your Mr. Robot to NAT adapter setting, switch it on, log in, and see if you are able to do IF config and find the IP address there or not. Okay. Okay, kill process MySQL bin having some issues here. Well, great. Let's just stop it. Just give me a quick second, guys. Yeah, guys. So, okay, here I am. Let's do an IF config again. Yeah, let's run my GoBuster once more. Running. Let it run. Yes, great. So I'm receiving some reply in the chat. Restarting worked for some reason. Yes, great. Okay. So I'm doing a directive brute force over here and let it run. Meanwhile, when I was trying to inspect the output here, what does it say? Some kind of Apache server is running. Okay, great. Apache server. That's all. Not a lot of information is available at my disposal here. One thing is for sure that target is Linux-based operating system. That's sure. Okay. And if I need to be very precise, it is somewhat like Linux 3.x kernel to 4.x kernel. Okay. 301, 301, 301, 200, favicon.ico. Can try to look into it. Intro 200, something interesting here. Okay. We'll try to look into 200 once. License. Intro. Great. Some slash login page, but it is redirecting me to somewhere else. Let me just look into it. Slash login page. And it is redirecting me to wp-login.php. Okay. So that's one thing. So that's why while I was doing directory brute forcing, when I was telling you about directory brute forcing, I told you that you need to look into redirects as well. You need to see where you are being redirected. Okay. So that's one case. If let's say you are not provided with this slash login, you would have been provided with the 200 robots.txt is here, wp-admin, the WordPress websites, the WordPress directory is here. So that way I would be able to go to the WP-login page. Okay. So I can access this directly through this WP-login. It is opening. Okay. Robots.txt is also here. Let's try to go to robots.txt. Robots.txt. And when I open robots.txt here, I can see that there are two files which are being provided to me, fsociety.dic and key1of3.txt. Okay, great. So let's try to look into them. Let's try to look into these files, directories. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is just copy it. Let's do a wget fsociety.dic. One file has been downloaded. Copy, paste it here. I have downloaded both of these files. ls-l is going to give me a long listing format. Let's just do cat. This key has no practical significance. Okay, it is just there as a proof of concept that okay, you have found it. That's all. Do not start cracking this key. Do not start looking for hash. Do not try to derive meaning out of it. Okay. So here we have got another file as well. The another file is fsociety.dic. It's a big file, as I can see here. Let's try to cat it. So from this output, I can realize that it's probably some kind of a dictionary file. This is some kind of a dictionary file that I'm provided with. And if I'm provided with a dictionary file, then it is basically a hint that I need to do a brute force somewhere. Okay. And along with that, I have been able to find the login page as well. WP login page, WordPress login page. So maybe I need to brute force the credentials using this specific word list. Okay. So first of all, let's see how many word. Yeah.
Sir, do websites usually store such dictionaries in their directories? I mean, is it a common practice?
Sorry.
Do websites in real life, do
No.
they usually store such dictionaries
No.
in their directories?
No. 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 Okay. WC-L. I'm just trying to see how many words are there. 8,58,160 words. That means if I'm going to do a brute force at a single field, it is going to make this much amount of request. And if I'm going to do a brute force on login and password, it is going to be like 8 lakh requests into 8 lakh. To be precise, 8,58,000 and all that. So this much number of requests are very, very high. Okay. So neither do I have time, neither do I have the computational power to do it. So let me first of all sort this word list for unique entries, output it into sorted.txt. Let's check out a file that I have created here. It's comparatively small file. Let's do a word count on it. -l sorted.txt, and the words have reduced from 8 lakh to 11,000 words. So what I have done here is I have simply sorted the word list into an alphabetical order manner. Okay. And after sorting the word list into alphabetical order, I removed all the duplicate entries. So when I remove the duplicate entries, I'm left with 11,000 words here. Okay. Now, okay, great. I'm left with 11,000 words. Let's try to brute force. before brute forcing, one way is that I can try to brute force the username and password field, and it is going to take how many attempts? 11,000 into 11,000 attempts. These are going to be the number of attempts. Okay, I can reduce them if I'm able to enumerate the username here. Okay, so first of all, I'll be trying with some default credentials here like admin, admin, invalid username. So what WordPress generally do is WordPress is having this vulnerability that says WordPress allows you to enumerate the usernames. Okay, that's a
So
major
try
one.
using Mr. Robot.
Sorry.
So try using Mr. Robot as username.
Yeah, I'll try it. Mr. Robot as the username, some password, invalid username. Robot as
F
the username.
Society.
F Society. Okay. Elliot. Elliot was the lead character. Okay. So here we are able to see that okay, we have got a valid username here. That is Elliot. And it makes sense as well. It is relevant to the Mr. Robot show as well. That's the uh, lead character. Okay. So one thing is sure, the username is Elliot. Now I need to do a brute force against the password field. I have a word list. I have the username. I have the page. Then let's go. Sudo wp scan. You can do -h for opening the help menu and look into the desired flags. I'm not going to open the help menu. I'm going to use -URL for mentioning the URL. The URL is here. Capital U for username, Elliot, capital P for password. In password, I'm going to provide a word list that is sorted.txt and press enter. So it has started your brute force attack, and one by one, all those 11,000 passwords are going to be tried here. Okay, with this username. The password you entered for Elliot username is wrong. Okay.
So on the dashboard, there were some commands written, as in F Society and all.
Yeah, right. So that's what you need to try. Okay. So I tried them, but they were of no use. So that's why I did not wasted my time here. Tried explaining. But when you are approaching something, whenever you are approaching a target for the first time, when approaching it fresh, it is not going to be that quick. Okay. It is going to take some time. You are going to go through all those commands which are provided there. Just trying to explore what application is presenting, how application is behaving. Okay. So I have my password over here. Valid combination has been found. Elliot username, password is this. Let's just copy this. Let's just go here, paste it, click on login. And I have successfully logged into the WordPress dashboard as the user Elliot Elderson. Great. Now, for those people who have already used WordPress, you guys know where to look for. For those people who do not know, who have not used WordPress, for them you need to explore all of this stuff, like what is this, what is that, Okay, but all options are provided. One thing that I know
You
here
go
is,
to plugins.
yeah, go to plugins.
Nothing.
Okay. So one thing that I'm sure is that WordPress is your CMS, okay, and through CMS I can modify the source code as well, okay. And what I want to check here is I want to see if I am able to modify the source code. If I have those rights, if I have those privileges, I am going to change the source code and I'm going to put my malicious source code there, and I'll see if I'm able to execute that code. That's what I'm going to try. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to appearances. In appearances, I need to go to the editor. That's where your source code is. And here I'll just try to put in some random things here. Something random here. Try to update the file. File edited successfully. So I am having the right permissions here as well. As an Elliot user, I am having right permissions here. Great, huh? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a PHP reverse shell, paste it in some kind of a PHP file here, and then execute that PHP file to get a shell back. So let's go to 404. I can take any other PHP file. That is absolutely fine. I'm just taking 404. Okay. So this is the PHP code. Okay, great. So let's get my reverse shell. By default, reverse shell is going to be found in cd user share web shells php, not cds to cat, php hyphen reverse shell. That's the location. This is the reverse shell. Just copy it. Paste it here. Pasted my reverse shell code here in the 404.php. Modify my IP address here. That is 192.168.75.135. That is my attacker IP address, basically your L host IP address. Okay. Some messages in the chat. Can you paste location here? Yes, I will be pasting the location here as well. Just give me a quick minute, receiving a call from the office. Yeah, guys. So, okay, pasting the path here. Let me just copy this path from here, paste it in the chat. This is the path. Okay. And I have provided my lhost IP address over here. L port is also here. Let me just start a listener. Sudo nc-nvlp port number 1234. Listening on this IP address, this port number. Great. Modified update file. Let's try to access this file. How will I be accessing that? How will I be able to execute that thing? By accessing that web page, 404.php. Access it. I got a shell back here. Okay. My reverse shell got executed. I have a shell here. Who am I? Who am I? Daemon ifconfig. I am inside the machine. Successfully gained access. Not a high level user, but at a low level service account. Okay. Let's try to see the existing user there. Passwt. Oops. Cat slash etc slash passwt. Okay. And if I do this way, okay. Great. Let's go to home directory. When I do ls here, I can see a user robot here. Let's do ls. So I can see 2 files are available with me. And can I read this file? Can I read this file?
No, sir. Don't have the permission, I think.
Because I do not have the permission. Right. So can I read this file? This one.
Yes, sir.
And something is being suggested by the file name itself.
It is an encrypted form.
It is in the hashed format. Okay. Hashed format. It's some kind of a password. Let's do cat. Probably the password for robot user. Okay. This is the password. Copy it. Let's try to crack it. Crack station. Crackstation.net. Crosswalks. And here is my password. The password is ABCDEFG, and you have already tried logging in with this thing. You can log in here as well. Okay. But let's say I want to escalate my privileges here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do SU robot. SU must be run from a terminal. So let me try to upgrade this shell to a TTY. Let me see if Python is available here. Python. Yes, Python is here. Python -c import pty pty.spawn spawn /bin/bash su robot. Paste the password here. Who am I? pwd ls cat. Try to read this file, and I can read this file as well. Okay. So pretty easy peasy stuff here. Okay. Not that big of stuff.
Sir, can you please explain how you upgraded your shell?
Okay, so I
to-
just used Python for upgrading my shell, and here I'm trying to import this pty module. From pty module, I'm using this specific function, and I'm using this function to call /bin/bash. /bin/bash is your shell, your bash shell. This is the binary file. Okay, that's what I'm trying to import here. Basically, that's what I'm trying to call here using Python. basically what happens is a lot of times when you are doing this kind of CTFs and all that stuff, so you get a very this is known as dumb shell. Okay, the shell that you get is your dumb shell, as there are no autocomplete functionality, tab autocomplete or up arrow, down arrow. So there is a process of upgrading your shell from dumb shell to stable shell. Let me see if I can get that guide. Upgrading shells. Ropnop. Yes, this is a good guide. You can follow this one. Upgrading shells from Netcat. That's what I'm looking for with Magic. Yeah, this is the one. So I have not followed the other steps here that I provided because I did not want a fully stable shell. That was not of my use. So if you want to look into this thing more, into upgrading shells, you can look into this guide. Pasted this thing in the chat box. Okay. Hmm. Dumb shells. Okay. Well, anyways, so we have escalated our privileges here as well. Okay. And we have not escalated to the root, but we have escalated to another user. So that was it. Okay. And that's all. Yeah. We are not going to look into the root privilege escalation. Okay. And any doubt so far? Tell me. Anything that is not clear? Tell me. There are a lot of things out there, okay? A lot of things. This is just the beginning. Mm. Tell me, guys, if something is not clear, tell me. Good to go. Hmm? Yes, right. I'm receiving a message in the chat. More practice will make us understand more. Definitely. Practice is the key here, okay? Do not try to memorize these commands, okay? Let them come to you naturally. They'll come to you with passage of time, not right away, okay? Sir, can you share the text files from yesterday class? Yes, I'll share it. Okay. I'll share the text files from yesterday class. Okay, risk assessment. That's what you want. Physical security you want. Perimeter security you want. Policies and procedure you want. I've shared all of them. Okay. I've shared all the text files in the chat. You can look into them. Yes. Thank you, sir. You're most welcome. Still, if someone wants to look into the previous part, I'm not going to explain you in detail. Okay. Find slash hyphen pom hyphen u is equals to s hyphen type is equals to f2 slash def slash null. So this is a command, find command. Find is very elaborative command, okay, used to look for specific files. I'm searching for those files which have SUID bit set. SUID bit is a special bit in the file permissions. Ideally, we have 3 file permission: read, write, execute. Okay, and there's a special file permission that it is SUID bit. That's what I'm looking for. I looked for it. I found nmap, and this is probably a misconfigured nmap. Okay, let me just look for nmap. Let's just try to do ls-l, and when I'm going to do this, you can see the SUID bit is set here. Okay. Let's try to run nmap space -h. This is the older version of nmap when interactive option was provided. You can see here. So let me just type nmap -interactive, and what nmap interactive version allowed us to do was, let me just type h here for help. It allowed us to execute shell level commands, okay, in the foreground. So commands can be executed using an exclamation mark. Let's have exclamation mark. Let's do sh. And when I did this, I tried to execute this bash command, and here you can see that I have a root level shell. Okay, who am I? I'm root. cd/root, and I have the third file here as well. This is the file which I can now read. Third text file, first boot done, and this is an empty file. I can see here it's an empty file. No need to read this one. Yes, so that's it. That's all. Okay.
So can you please explain how you got the root shell?
How I got the root shell? I looked for. So there are a lot of privilege escalation techniques. Okay, a lot of privilege escalation is something which is very extensive. Okay, so out of them, I just tried to look for those files which have SUID bit set. Okay, now do not ask me to explain the SUID bit. Okay, let me just tell you. SUID bit is something when you are going to set a SUID bit to a file, that file is going to be executed as a root. Okay, whenever that file is going to be executed, it is going to be executed as root. So I saw that nmap is here, and SUID bit is set for nmap. You can see it here as well. Okay, S is here. So whenever nmap is going to run, it is going to be running as a root user with root permissions. So I did nmap -h just to check out nmap version 3.8 and some other help options here. So this was only available with the older versions of nmap. Okay, the older versions of nmap used to have this interactive flag. Okay, when I did nmap -interactive, it gave me this nmap shell. When I was in nmap shell, I just typed -h to look into what all commands I have at my disposal. When I did -h, these were the commands which I was able to execute. Out of all of them, the most important command is this exclamation mark command, runs shell command given in the foreground. Okay, so through nmap interactive version, I am able to run shell commands. If I'm able to run shell commands and nmap is running as root, so let's try to run a shell command here. Let's try to do exit here. I can do the same thing using /bin/bash. That's also the shell, and it's not working this way. Sometimes it is going to work, sometimes it is not going to work. Maybe this binary is not there. bin/sh event not found. Okay, so here sh is only working. Okay, not the caps one. sh. Okay, I am somewhere else. I okay. I need to exit it first, and now run the command. Yes, now I am here. Okay, that's one thing. That was your previous here.
So,
Anji.
so yesterday I went through your Telegram channel and I got PWK files over there.
Yeah,
And those text files were not available.
text file.
Yes, so I got all the video lectures, but the text files that you uploaded, that was not, I was not able to execute or stuff like that. So can you please share those, or if you have any notes for PWK or OSCP, if you can share them.
I'll share the. So was it the mega link?
Yes, Omega Link, yeah.
Probably. See, those links actually do not work for a long period of time because they are most of the times reported as copyright infringement and all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
So I'll share some new material in the group. Okay. I'll
Okay,
share some new PDF. Okay.
okay. Thank you.
Let me mark you guys present. Windows print screen. So I have some question in the chat, sir. Tips for exam. Which exam? Security Plus or OSCP? Which exam are you talking about? Hmm? Security Plus? No, you do not need any tips for Security Plus. Okay, it's very easy peasy stuff. Just go through the material. That's all. Just read general concepts about security. Okay, just read.
And tips for OSCP? Try harder.
Try harder. No, that's I would say that's not the best advice ever given to anyone. Okay, so try harder is not the advice. I would say enumerate harder. Look into enumeration guides like 0 day enumeration guides. Okay, make sure that you know how to enumerate each and every port that is out there. Okay, each and every port. You need to have your tools ready, your scripts ready for the exam, everything ready. There are certain times when nmap is going to uh, that is not going to work properly, so you need to have those special case scenarios ready for you, scripts ready with you. Make good notes. Okay, your own notes. Do not try to copy somebody else's notes because you are going to find a lot of OSCP notes at GitHub and all that places. Do not copy them. Create your own notes that are personal to you. Okay, and try to hack into at least 25 machines in your OSCP lab environment, in your PWK labs. Okay, at least I would say 25 would be good enough. Although there are 75 plus machines, or at least try to. Minimum what you need to do is 25, and make walkthroughs for them for those machines. Okay, that's one thing. What else?
Sir, if I have a list of Hack the Box OACP like machines in the Hack the Box,
Yeah.
if I complete all of them, then can I infer that I'm ready for OACP?
So you are never going to feel like you are ready for OSCP. That's a for sure fact. But yes, you can think it that way that you are done with the HTTP VMs, OSCP like VMs, that TGNL list, right? That we are talking about. That list is created by TGNL. So yeah, that would be sufficient. That like you must feel confident enough. Okay. Before appearing for OCP, I would suggest is try doing some boxes without any write-ups, without any walkthroughs. Okay. See if you are able to hack them without hints, because in the exam you will be forced to hack into them without any hints. Okay. Because what happens is when you are trying to do stuff in lab, when you are trying to do HTB stuff, when you get stuck somewhere, you immediately you have something to follow upon. Okay, you immediately look into some write up, you get the solution, you implement the solution, and that's all. You are done, good to go. Huh? But that is not going to be the case with OSCP. But at last, I would suggest that okay, do not worry about OSCP. Just appear for the first attempt. It does not matter if you fail. Okay, just appear for the first attempt for the experience, like to see what kind of pressure is provided in 24 hours. Okay, just to uh, have an experience, just appear for the experience. Okay, because 2 times is something which is normal for anyone to clear the exam. I have seen people who have been appearing for 8 to 9 attempts, 10 attempts for OSCB. Okay, there are people out there. So do not think that much. Just appear for the exam. Once you're feeling like that, okay, you have done sufficient. If you do not fail, not an issue. Just see where you lagged and appear within a month or two again. Okay. What else? Security Plus tips. So no tips for Security Plus, guys. Okay. The only tip that I can give you for Security Plus is just go through the reading material. Read. You do not need to do any practical. Okay. Nothing practical is going to be asked there. Just go through the guide. Okay. Just go through the notes. Just go through the PDF. Okay. Go through that videos playlist, the Professor Messer playlist that I have shared. Go through it, and that would be sufficient for you guys to be able to pass the Security Plus exam. Okay. It's an easy exam. Do not worry about that. You just need to know about basic security terms and concepts. That's all. Nothing else. Okay. Anything else you guys would like to ask? You guys want me to answer? Hmm?
Sir, after completing Security Plus, what can be our next step?
Next step.
In order to
Hmm. Next step
look,
for Security
yeah,
Plus.
step up our knowledge or experience.
Great. So that depends upon how much money do you have. Okay. So if you have sufficient money, if money is not an issue, then I would suggest you to go for like CH, then CH practical. Why I'm saying this is not a mandatory step. Okay, this is only conditional if you have extra money that you can invest upon and you do not care about the extra money. So because if you go for CH and CH practical, it is going to these are two different certifications. It is going to give you CH masters. Okay, and CH is very recognized in the industry as well. That's one thing that is totally optional. If you do not want to go for it, do not go for it. Do not have money, do not go for it. No need to worry. After this, I would suggest you to go for EJPT like certification. Okay, by Elan Security, Elan Certified Junior Penetration Tester. Okay, whatever advice I can give you from a red team perspective. Okay, I cannot give you an advice from blue teaming perspective because I'm not a blue teamer, I'm a red teamer. Okay, and I'm not a manager, I'm not an auditor. So, but if you want to go for auditing side, you can go for ISMS LA. Okay, that's again an easy PC certification. If you want to go for auditing aspect, I have completed the certification by BSI. One thing that I would suggest you guys is go for some networking certification. Okay, that is not relevant for your red teaming profile, but see networking, yeah, CCNA would be fine, right? Up till CCNA would be fine. CCNA is going to give you like competency to prove your prospective employer that okay, you know the networking. Okay, networking is very important. I've been focusing on networking for so long, and a lot of times you would have seen throughout the curriculum when we were trying to do the practicals, for people who do not understand the fundamentals of networking, for those people following along would be very difficult. Okay, if you know the networking, you can understand it. If you do not know the networking, then again you can understand it, that you were not able to follow along. Okay. If you know the networking, you would understand it. Okay, you were able to follow along. So IP address, how IP address works, types, classes, TCP protocol suite, OSI model, and encapsulation, decapsulation, different routing protocols, BGP, EIGRP, OSPF. Okay, their implementation, how to configure ACL in a router or a switch. Okay, stuff like that. Although you are not going to use such kind of skills practically. Okay, but it is good to have. Once you are done with networking and this fundamental security, then you can go towards the practicals of red teaming. Like EJPT is practical certification. It is going to cost you around about 35,000, I believe, 35 to 40,000 around. And it is totally practical hands-on certification, even certified junior penetration tester. Once you are done with that, then you can go for ECPBT. Okay. Again, ECPBT is optional if you have sufficient money, because it is going to cost you round about it is around about $1,600 or $1,800. Okay, so that totally depends upon your budget. If you have it, if you have the budget, then definitely go for it. Do not think twice. Just go for EJPT, CCNA, ECPPT. Once you are done with CPPT, then go for OSCP. Okay, that would be a good approach, like baby steps, step-by-step approach for climbing that ladder. If you have some monetary issues, then I would suggest you to go for a networking certification at least. Okay, that is going to cost you like 30,000 for CCNA. And then after networking certification, go for OSCP directly. Okay, because OSCP is also going to cost you around about 1 lakh rupees. Okay, so that is also a path. Another one is also a path. Totally depends upon your specific scenarios. But I have given you both of the ideal scenarios. If you have money to spend upon, go for the more extensive path, because they see collectively it is going to build your profile only, right? If you have EJPT, the money is not being wasted. You have a certification in to portray. You have CCNA certification to portray. You have ECPPT certification to portray. Then you have OSCP. That okay. People would be able to understand your credibility, that okay, you have not done any shortcuts here and you know stuff. Okay, you can cheat your way in one certification, but you cannot try to cheat your way throughout the 3 to 4 certification. Okay.
Sir, I have one more doubt. So the security plus certification expires in 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Sir, after that, do we have to apply for exam or like
Recertification? Yes. See,
so again we have to pay for the certificate exam and we have to appear the exam, right?
See. Never think of recertifications ever. Okay. Until unless you do not want to get stuck into your career at a single point. Okay. Why are you going to recertify yourself as a security plus? Tell me one good reason. Huh? After 3 years also, you will be at the same level. Huh? You want to be certified as a security plus only. Huh? No. Do not think about that. Okay. Getting my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You will be getting more upgraded. You will be aiming for higher certifications. That's better.
Yes,
okay, do not worry about recertifications. And I have something in the chat, sir. First time experience के लिए 1 लाख खर्च कर दें, थोड़ा ज़्यादा नहीं है? ज़्यादा नहीं है, क्योंकि second attempt जो होता है OECP का, that is only going to cost you round about 10 to 15,000. That is not going to cost you 1 lakh rupees. For the first time, it is 1 lakh rupees because they are going to provide you with the content, the labs, and the exam attempt, the PDF, the videos, all of that stuff. After that, if you want to reattempt, that is 15,000 rupees. And yes, see, अब हाँ ज़्यादा है 1 लाख रुपए. So क्या कर सकते हैं? We cannot help with that regard, right? That's all. So जो भी मैंने आपको रिसोर्सेज वगैरह शेयर करे हैं, वो सब मैंने वही रिसोर्सेज शेयर करे हैं जो मैंने पढ़ रखे हैं. आई हैव बीन थ्रू इट. एंड जो मैं आपको एडवाइस वगैरह भी दे रहा हूँ वो मैं अपने एक्सपीरियंस से ही दे रहा हूँ, ठीक है। नेटवर्किंग का सर्टिफिकेशन मैंने भी किया है, ऑल्दो आई एम नॉट अ नेटवर्क इंजीनियर, ठीक है। और ऑडिटिंग वगैरह भी मैंने कर रखी है इससे पहले, ग्रीवियंस रिस्क एंड कंप्लायंस डिपार्टमेंट में भी मैंने काम किया है, ठीक है। कंसल्टेंसी वगैरह का जो काम रहता है आपका बेसिकली। सो उस टाइम पे मैंने ISO 27001 LA आई गॉट दैट सर्टिफिकेशन। सो ऐसे ही है, देखो आगे समझ में आ जाएगा आपको, आप स्टार्ट करोगे एक बारी, you will be able to make your path into it.
Sir,
Yes.
सर EJP Elearn सिक्योरिटी के साइट पे सर्टिफिकेशन के दो ऑप्शंस हैं. वन इज अटेंडिंग, मतलब गोइंग थ्रू द ट्रेनिंग कोर्स, एंड द सेकंड वन इज अटेम्प्टिंग द सर्टिफिकेशन डायरेक्टली. So sir, ऐसा हो सकता है कि if someone wants to save some money, because certification directly लेने का पैसा शायद कम रहेगा rather than going to the course. तो जैसे और sources से हम लोग training लेके, ठीक है, and then go for the certification directly. So will that work? Like कितना chance है वो work करने का?
Definitely it can work. Definitely it can work, but this is not what I am going to suggest you. Okay. What I am going to suggest you is, या वहाँ पे 3 ऑप्शंस अवेलेबल है, एक बेयर बोन है, एक शायद नॉर्मल है और एक एलीट है, ऐसे कुछ होगा वहाँ पे, राइट? इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, इट्स बीन अ व्हाइल व्हेन आई लास्ट विजिटेड द ईलन वेबसाइट. So I would suggest you guys to go for the elite one, okay? Because for the elite one, let me tell you, certifications, ECPBT, here it is, EGPT, knowledge domains, certification process, the exam, get an EGPT voucher, and it is providing you for $200. Nice. This is Infinity voucher, okay? Not a lot of things are covered here. Is it somewhere here? It is somewhere here itself, okay? PTS, presentation testing student. See, if you go for the extended one, you will be provided with the labs, okay? See, all of these certifications have, the labs is the most important part, okay? That's the most important part. So that's why I'll suggest you to go for the elite one, okay? Elite one is, I quoted the price 35,000 for elite one only, okay? This is the curriculum, and why I'm recommending this is because this is the only certification where you are going to be taught basics of networking, basics of C++, basics of Python as well, basics of command line as well. No other security certification you will be going through the language basics, okay? Right, I believe Shashwat had this question.
Yes sir.
Right. And I'm receiving something in the chat. What is it? Job option for you. Okay. There is no profile like you are just out of the college and you become a penetration tester. That's not how things work. Okay. Nobody's going to hire you. That's one thing. There are certain feeder roles like development, networking, system administration, GRC, stuff like that. Okay. Where you can get your hands dirty for 6 months or 1 year, and then you can switch to pen testing profiles. That's one thing. Another thing, job security. So job security, I cannot say anything about job security, okay, because in this corona epidemic, I have seen people having 11 to 12 years of experience getting laid off in the IT domain itself. There are system admins getting laid off. There are developers getting laid off. There are network engineers. There are pen testers. Everyone in every domain, okay, is getting laid off. Okay, and I'm talking about a lot of experienced people. I have seen people having 5 to 6 years of experience, 7 years of experience, 10 years of experience, 12 years of experience. Okay, nowadays they are taking training from here. Okay, nowadays they are my student, and yeah, that's it. So cannot say anything about job security. That's how the industry is. Okay. See, the logic is the more experience you get, the more you are going to charge, the more you are going to be expensive to the company. But if you are not getting updated properly, if you are not providing that much value to the company would be interested to hire a fresher who is going to do the same work in a better manner than you with a lesser pay. Okay, that's what happens when people stop learning, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's it. Okay. So I hope I have answered almost most of your queries. Okay. And yeah, that's all. That would be all. Let me stop the recording here.